In this section, what we're going to do is look at how to undo changes that we've pushed to a central remote repository. Now, the process is going to be very similar to what we do locally when we want to roll something back, but seeing the dynamics will help you a bit. So first of all, make sure you're on the development command line. Let's go ahead and clear the back scroll with Command K. And let's jump to the file folder where we have our input module. Again, this is in Sites All Modules, Custom. And this is the input module that we've copied over from our resource pack. We've copied over the 6th step, so let's go ahead and copy over the 7th step to make a change. I'm going to open it up in my editor. And then I'm going to open up input.module if it's not already open. And I'm going to copy over the entire code from the 7th step and paste it over the code that's in the input.module file, and I'm going to save it. Now I'm going to jump back to the command line. And let's go ahead and do a git status just to verify that our file has changed and there's nothing else that we're going to commit. Okay, so our next step is to make a commit and then to push. So let's go ahead and do a commit. So the command here is git commit. I'm passing the a parameter to skip the staging process. And then the message is added step 7 of input.module. And I'm going to hit enter. Okay, so now let's go ahead and push. So I'm going to do git push. And this will push our change to our central repository. At this point, the way that we roll back is going to be determined by what's happened to our code now that we've pushed it. For example, if somebody has pulled in these changes into their repository and we go and remove this change from our remote's history, then that's going to mess them up because all of a sudden they're out of sync with the remote repository. There's something that they have that no longer exists, and they're going to get some errors and have trouble working through that. So in that case, we definitely want to take a non-destructive approach. And the way that we do that, just like we did locally, is by doing a revert command on the commits that we want to roll back. Now, if we're absolutely sure that nobody has pulled down those changes that we've pushed to the remote repository, and we do need to rewrite our history in order to keep it clean, then we'll want to do a hard reset just like we've done locally, in order to remove the history from the remote repository as well as our own locally. Now, we've pretty much done this before when we talked about undoing in Git, but let's go ahead and work through this process so you can see what happens when a remote is involved. So first of all, let's go ahead and do a revert. I'm going to do git revert, and then in order to undo the last commit, I'm just going to do head, and that will pass a reference to the latest commit that was made in the current branch that we're in, which is master. I'm going to hit enter. Because we didn't pass a message parameter, it opens up Vim to allow us to edit the default message, which is revert, and then the commit message of the commit that we're reverting. Let's go ahead and keep this as is. So I'm going to use colon in order to jump to the command here, and W and Q to save and exit. We see our output here. Now if we do git log, we'll see that our revert is in the log, which means that we can roll back to where we added our step, and then we can roll back after where that is undone. I'm going to hit Q to exit out of Vim. And now, just like any other change locally, if we wanted to sync it up with the remote site, we would use git push. And that will push this latest commit, which was a reversion of the commit before it. So at this point, if we went to our production site and did a git pull, we'd pull in these last 2 revisions. Now, if we wanted to just make sure that our remote branch is up to date with what we've done locally, we can take a look at the log on that branch by passing the specific branch and the remote to the git log command. Let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to do git log, and then I'm going to point to the name of the remote, which is origin, / and then the name of the branch we want to look at. And I'm just going to pass the 1-line parameter to make it a short, clean output. And you see here that our log is identical. So now if we wanted to rewrite history and take out some commits, then we can do a reset hard. So let's go ahead and do that and jump back to this added step 6 before we made the 7th step change. So just like before, when we did a reset, we're going to do git reset hard, and then we're going to pass it the shortened hashtag of this commit. So I'm going to go ahead and copy it and paste it in. And then I'm going to hit enter. So it says that head is now at that commit. So if we do a git log again, we'll see that we no longer have the last 2 commits that we made. I hit Q to exit out of Vim. So now, if we do a git push, what's going to happen is that those 2 latest commits are going to be pulled back from that remote branch as well. Let's go ahead and do that. Git push. Now we get an error here. It says rejected. Error, failed to push some refs to, and then our address for our repository. Now it says that we need to merge the remote changes using git pull before pushing again. Now why it's saying this is because right now on our remote site, we have 2 commits that we just rolled back on our local site. So it looks like the remote site is actually ahead of our local site now. But in actuality, what we want to do is remove those 2 commits from the remote site. And so we can do that by using our previous command, git push, but pass it the f parameter in order to force it. When we did that, we got our message here. It said that we forced the update. So if we do a git log on our remote branch again, now we see that our log ends at added step 6 of input module. Let's go ahead and make sure that everything's reset on a remote repository by going over to our production site. And let's update our local information about the remote repository by doing git fetch. Now, if there had been any changes, we would have seen some output here. And if we do git status, we would also see if we were ahead or behind of the remote repository. And it doesn't show us ahead or behind, so we're good to go. This means that we successfully pushed some changes from our development repository to the remote repository and then rolled them back completely.